How's going, guys? Welcome to the channel. I'm back with another banger for you all. Huge shout out to Frozen 2 Night for this story. If you wants to see awesome fanfiction like this, don't forget to subscribe. Now let's get into the video. Prologue. Dream. This dream again, thought a boy as he looked at his surroundings. It was a very forested plain, and the night was shrouding the land with the moon held up in the sky. With no sight of the advanced technology of his time. Thinking of living in such a world felt nice. He looked in front of him to see two giants. The one to his left was a giant purple tengu made of pure energy. Its wings are like it was made of paper, its hair like it was made of flames, accentuated eye holes, a long tengu nose, a spike over each eye, a slit across its mouth and 3 gaps on each of its cheeks. It had the appearance of a samurai, with a katana being held in his left hand. To his right was a titanic-size wooden statue that made the tengu look small in comparison. The wooden statue looked like that of a Buddha, with many hands sprouting from its back creating a dome. Then he focused on the 2 men who were with their respected giants. The one on the left had long brown hair cut short on top. 2 locks wrapped in bandages framed either side of his face. His eyebrows were cut short, a symbol of his nobility, and dark eyes. Later, he began wearing his hair back in a long cylinder and gained blue markings around his eyes, which were turned up at the corners. He wore a high-collared, light-colored kimono held closed by a dark sash. The collar of the kimono was adorned with magatama. He wore a black full-bodied suit underneath. He floated on the hexagonal gem on the tengu's forehead, while the man on the right had short, spiky brown hair, 2 locks of which were wrapped in bandages framing either side of his face in a similar manner to his brother. He possessed stern facial features. He wore bandages around his forehead. He wore a light-colored kimono with magatama adorned around the collar. The kimono was held closed by a dark-colored sash. Underneath, he wore a black full-body suit. Floating behind him was 8 black orbs. The boy watching their fight has seen them grow. Each year he had a dream or 2 about them. Their growth in the art of Nishu or ninjutsu, their brotherly quarrel and rivalry. But his dream mostly focused on the one on his left. How he fell into darkness cause of jealousy, and influenced by outside forces. To become this man who is fueled with rage. These 2 men are Indra and Asura Otsutsuki, 2 brothers and sons of Hagoromo Otsutsuki. Eldest brother. Asura screamed as the statue moved forward. Asura! Indra roared, wanting to prove ninjutsu is superior. The giant tengu slashed at the wooden statue. This is... shouted Asura with determination to win. The power of our bond. Soon the statue sent a barrage of punches from its back towards the flying samurai. The punches hit their mark, disarming the tengu of its weapons. It soon was slammed into the ground with the assault still going on. The giant tengu began to crack from the onslaught. Until it couldn't take it any more and exploded. As the dust settled, Indra was on his knees defeated and exhausted. Elder brother, stay away. Asura rushed to help his sibling but was stopped by his brother's response. Asura. The eldest Otsutsuki said as he slowly raised himself up. I will never. He continued to talk, while struggling to stand himself up. Acknowledge Nishu, or you, he said as he soon wrapped himself in a cloak of lightning, before disappearing from his younger sibling's sight. And the scene before him was engulfed in a white light. Guess it's time to wake up. Dream end. In a 1-person apartment in the town of Ko. A young 17-year-old blonde was rudely awoken cause of the sun's rays. He has spiky sun-kissed blonde hair, tan skin with a body built for an athlete, 3 whisker-like birthmarks on his cheeks and a pair of cerulean blue eyes. This is Naruto Uzumaki. Stupid son, glad it is Friday. 1 more day for Sunday so I can relax. He grumbled as he got out of bed. His sleep were being only a pair of black boxers. He did his usual wake-up routine. Got to the bathroom, shower, brushed teeth and then put on his Ko Academy uniform. He then began to make his own breakfast. Now you ask, why is he doing all this? And also, where are his parents? Well, to put it lightly, they are dead. Killed by some lunatic who broke into their house when he was 5. His mother hid him in a panic room in the kitchen, while his dad faced the attacker. Naruto would only be able to tell who the assailant was if he heard that insane laugh again. Thankfully, child services allowed him to have all of the money his parents had in the bank, which was a very healthy sum, and kept it up with his part-time job later on. He was fostered for a few years until he decided to live by himself. He then decided to move back to Ku where he used to live. After finishing his breakfast and getting his school bag, he walked up to a photograph near the front door. He then did a silent prayer. On the photograph was a picture of 2 adults and 1 kid. The one on the left was a beautiful woman. She had a slender, but feminine build, fair skin, violet eyes, and the common Uzumaki red hair. It reached her waist with shoulder-length strands that framed both sides of her face, and a black clip that parts her hair to the left. She wore a white yukata with a red sash around her waist and sakura petals designs. The one on the right was a handsome man with spiky sun-kissed blonde hair, tan skin and cerulean blue eyes. He wore a black business suit with a white undershirt and a yellow tie, with black pants. Between the two was a younger version of Naruto with an orange t-shirt and blue jeans. This was the last picture he took with his parents before that horrible day. The woman is Kushina Uzumaki and his man is Minato Namikaze. Wish me luck, Okasan, Otosan, he said as he soon left his apartment and locked the door behind him. Ko Academy. As Naruto was walking down the sidewalk to the front entrance of the school, many of the girls began to look at him with lust and desire, while the male with envy and anger. There he is, mourning Naruto-sama. Naruto-sama is so hot, one of the girls said with many nodding in agreement. And those whiskers even makes him cute, like he is a big cuddly kitty. Many of the girls giggled and agreed. Damn that pretty boy, shouted one of the boys. Why does the white and black princes of Ko Academy get all the girls? Shouted another guy with many feeling inadequate to get a girlfriend. Yeah, now that is a stupid yet true title. He and a fellow blonde male student, Kiba Yuto, were known as the black and white princess of Ko Academy. The reason is because Kiba was a polite individual when it comes to his manners and personality, while he was wise and mature, yet exuberant and boisterous. However, how he gained it was when a young group of students were being assaulted by a local small gang that resides in town. Naruto, not taking this lightly, attacked them with no mercy in his strikes. In the end was a sight of the thugs lying on the floor with broken bones, bruised, bleeding and unconscious. Once the battle was over, he walked the kids to school ground and called the police to take the thugs. Since then his act of both kindness and violence made him gain the moniker the Black Prince. Wonder if Rias and Aquino are done ignoring me, thought our male protagonist, as a frown formed on his face, making a lot of girls want to make him smile from his depressed mood. Heck, even some of the guys wanted to ask if he wanted to hang out. Seeing him all depressed has that much effect on people. You see, both Aquino and Rias were the first friends he made in Ko Academy when he applied. They hanged out every weekends to do something in town. From that he became friends with the school's mascot, Kaneko Tuju, and fellow Prince Kiba Yuto, along with Saunashir Torai, the president of the student council, who was apparently Rias' childhood friend, from what Aquino has told him. However, since last couple of weeks they had began to ignore him. Even Kaneko was on the same boat. Kiba wasn't, since they spared every so often their form of hanging out, since they both have a love for swords. He doesn't know what he did to make 3 of his friends behave in such a way, but he bought something for them in hope of making amends. For Rias, he bought a limited edition Pandora Hearts collection with the author signature inside the bow. To Kaneko he bought a couple of sweets from a new candy store that was recently opened in the mall, and Aquino an antique Japanese porcelain tea sets. He would give it to them after they went to the movies at the end of the week. Naruto soon stopped to see a brown-haired boy and a black-haired girl walking together away from the school gates. This was a very recent news that left many in shock, and wondering if Armageddon was upon them. Issei Hayate, the school's breast-obsessed pervert, has gotten a girlfriend, while everyone were in denial of him even getting a girl to like him. Naruto was happy for the guy. Guess even a perv like him can get a girlfriend. Good for him. Hopefully she can keep his libido on a leash. he said before heading to meet Rias and Aquino, asking God that things could go back to how they used to be. Little did he know that many things will change, and his life will never be normal again. Old school building. Naruto arrived at the school building that houses the ORC clubroom. It was a 3-story building, with the 3rd story serving as a clock tower. It has been painted white with a black roof with vines creeping up to the 2nd story. Naruto didn't know where the clubroom was located, so he walked the halls hoping to hear their voice. When he went to the 2nd floor, he heard Aquino's voice behind closed doors that were a bit regal. So we are going to make Issei-sen member of the club. This news shocked Naruto. For them to allow Issei of all people join their club. It was a big surprise. He clenched his fist at the thought of the perv looking at Rias and Aquino with a lustful gaze. However, Naruto soon calmed down as he saw that Issei was not peeping with Motohama and Matsuda anymore. He was surprisingly a loyal boyfriend. Yes, I can tell he is special compared to the others here at the school. A unique member to join our group, said Rias with the sound of something being moved. It was small by the sound it made when touching a flat surface. What about Naruto-kun? Asked Aquino. Naruto put his ears on the door hoping she would say yes. He has asked them when he will become a member. And the conversation was averted with something else. No, said Rias in the flattest tone he has ever heard her say. Naruto may have been a choice to join our group before, but I come to realize that he is not what I am looking for. He is just an average guy with some good qualities, nothing more, nothing less. But has nothing special that makes him a better choice than Issei. Also, checkmate. When she finished speaking, Naruto felt his heart being in pain. He never heard Rias say such things before. Era, and here I made it hard for you. And you are right, he not as special as Issei. Sigh, better to have him as a stress reliever, said Aquino. Hearing enough, he left with tears in his eyes and a broken heart. I can't believe this. I just can. He thought on the time they spent together. Was everything a lie? Did they really use him for such a reason? Were they truly even friends? So many questions came into his head with no answers. Not wanting to be seen by Kaneko or Kiba, he leaves the old school building and headed home. Sunday. Since that day, Naruto has been in a more depressed mood than before. The last time he felt like this was when his parents died. He was once again broken from an emotional pain. What should I do? He looked at his parents' picture, thinking what they would say about this situation. His mom will most likely look for the girl who hurt him and beat her to near death, while his dad will tell him that there are better fish in the sea, while calming his enraged mother. Laughing at himself, using his deceased parents to comfort himself, he looked at the time. Well, better head out and get some ramen. He changed into a blue t-shirt with an orange hoodie with a red swirl on the back over it, pair of jeans and sneakers. Go Park. As Naruto walked through the park, the fastest route to the mall, the sky began to darken. Weird, it was only midday a second ago, was his thought as he continued to walk towards the mall. As he reached the center of the park, he saw a red-pink glow near the water fountain to his right. His eyes focused to see Issei sitting on the ground with a face filled with fear. And a black-winged angel girl that looked like an older Yuma in her hands was a thorn-like spear. And judging by her form, she was. Crap, he rushed towards the two as fast as he could. Issei's P.O.V. I was the happiest guy in the world. I finally went on a date with a girl who asked me out. Everything was going great. Well, as great as I can make it. That is until we went into the park away from wandering eyes of others. Here Yuma-chan soon turned into a black feathered winged woman and created a spear out of thin air. Apparently she wanted me to die for her. I don't know why I didn't run away or did something instead of sitting here like an idiot. But the small time I was with her, I simply hoped this was just a bad joke. Yuma-chan. I reached my hand out to her, hoping for some form of mercy. Please die, she said as she thrust the spear towards me. However, I felt something tackling me to the side, away from my oncoming death. Third person P.O.V. Issei looked at the person that saved him. And to his surprise, it was Naruto, the school's black prince. Are you alright? He said before he groaned in pain. They both looked at his left calf being impaled from the side, and only grazing his right one. That's going to be a bitch in the morning. As blood flowed down his leg. And Naruto-san, was all Issei said at the guy who saved his life. Yuma, however, looked at the blonde who arrived. She read a report about him before she came here. He was the only survivor of a break-in who was caused by a fellow colleague. Besides that, he was a normal human with no supernatural ties. Why are you here? Well, I was going to get some ramen to eat for dinner, he said, getting up with a grunt from the pain on his left leg. And this is the fastest route to it. But when I saw how you were going to impale a fellow classmate, I couldn't stand there as he dies, he said in a cold tone at the end. I will not let anyone else die before my eyes. I couldn't do anything for my parents, so I won't with Issei. The woman giggled at the boy's bravado. You are quite brave for a human. However, now that you saw me, you also have to die, she said, creating another spear. Issei, when give this signal you run away from here, Naruto said as he focused on Yuma. What about you? You will die, shouted the brown-haired boy. Most likely. With this injury on my calf, I won't be able to run as fast. But you can get out of here and get help, Naruto said, getting ready to fight. Groaning at the pain he felt by standing on his impaled calf. I will just survive till I get back, said Hayato with determination. This guy saved his life. The least he could do is find help. Naruto smirked at the boy's intention, but he knew that even if he did come back with help, he will most likely be dead or very close to it. Yeah, I will hold up till then. Now go! Naruto rushed towards Yuma, while Issei turned around towards the exit. Yuma soon took aim towards Issei, who was running away. But she soon avoided the punch aimed for her face. Glaring at the blonde before her, she soon began to fight him. I will make you suffer before you die. Bring it, you Blackwing bitch, Naruto said as he sent an elbow strike to the woman's gut. Yuma growled at being hit by this worm as she created another spear for her to use. Naruto, with much pain, avoided the thrust and slashes of her spears. However, his leg was starting to give up on him as the pain was being too unbearable. Yuma, noticing this, decided to end their little match. She soon thrust her spears through his stomach and left lung. Now you die a hero. But seeing as you are quite an interesting human, I will tell you my name. I am Rainier, and now I will kill my earlier objective without you interfering, she said as she took off into the sky, leaving a severely injured Naruto on the puddle of his own blood. Cough cough d-damn, he said as blood came out of his mouth. That damn bird got me good, cough cough, he said, soon looking up into the sky to seeing the moon while the sun was setting. Guess this is my end, cough cough. To die alone, that sucks. As his eyes was closing, he saw a white flash, but couldn't see any more as he lost consciousness. There, standing before him, was a beautiful woman. She has pale skin with delicate facial features. She had extremely long, sweeping long white hair which drags across the ground. She possessed white clear eyes, and her eyebrows were cut very short and round, a symbol of nobility, and she wore a red shade of lipstick on her lips. And her fingernails were long and dark. Her most noticeable features are her two brown horns that stuck out from her head and a third eye formed in the center of her forehead. She wore a high-collared kimono which has tomo running down the center and edges of the gown. So one of my grandchildren has been reborn, she said, looking at the injured boy. Not wasting a second, she placed her right hand on his chest and was soon covered in a light green glow. The wounds that were on his body became non-lethal. She didn't fully heal him, not wanting her energy to be sensed by the owners of this area. She didn't want to face with those devils at the moment. I'd better take him away from here to properly heal him and activate his power, she said, soon lifting the boy up, and they teleported away to her home. Meanwhile, further away from them, a certain red-haired heiress was reincarnating a dead boy who was in a pool of his own blood. Unknown location. Naruto groaned as he opened his eyes to reveal an unfamiliar ceiling. Wait a second, wasn't I? Shooting up from where he was lying on, he looked around. The room was beige-white, with one door and window. Naruto stood up and walked towards the window to see where he was. From a distance he could see that it was nighttime. He didn't expect to see white rocky terrains with a few hills and crater. And there floating in a distance was the bloody earth in perfect view from where he was. I'm in space. Oh my god, I am in fucking space. And I am on the fucking moon! Shouted Naruto as he panicked at the revelation before him. This has to be a dream. This just has to be. Calm down, Naruto-kun. And no, it's not a dream, said a calming voice behind him. The blonde turned around to see a white-haired woman with 2 horns sprouting from her head. He has to admit she is beautiful in both a natural and exotic way. Who are you? And why am I on the moon? Well, my young guest, I am Kaguya Otsutsuki. And I brought you here so that I can properly heal you and awaken your power, said the now revealed Kaguya. Awaken my power? Okay, make some sense, lady, asked the confused blonde. Very well. But first you must be starving. Come with me to the dining room, she said as a black portal appeared beside her. She soon walked through it while Naruto looked at it with wonder. Cool. He soon jumped in and found himself in a dining room with a table, chairs and a kitchen. On the table was breakfast already made, and by the smell it was delicious. The food smells amazing, he said, taking a seat. Kaguya smiled at the praise of her home-cooked meal. Hearing these words again warmed her heart. Why, thank you, Naruto-kun. Now eat up so I can explain to you about your upcoming future. The blonde nodded as he took a bite of the food. Tears fell from his eyes on the delicious taste that has came in contact with his mouth. I have tasted heaven. Naruto soon began to savor each bite as if they were his last. Kaguya giggled as her children did the same when they eat. Once they were done, the two headed to the family room. Naruto sat on the cream leather egg chair, while Kaguya sat on the white sofa. So what is this about awakening my power? As you already know, I am Kaguya Otsutsuki, mother of Hagoromo Hamura Otsutsuki, along with grandmother of Azura and Indra Otsutsuki. What you don't know is that I am not human but a goddess. I am daughter of Harihara and my domains are chakra, the planet, and yin-yang, she said, getting a shock from Naruto. I know, shocking, isn't it? Now I came to Earth after a disagreement with my fathers. It's so confusing knowing he is in fact 2 deities fused into one, which happen every 5 centuries anyway. There I crossed path with Abel, one of the 3 sons of Adam and Eve. We became friends, hanged out every time I could, and during that time we started to fall in love with one another. One night we tied the knot, and decided to tell his family of our union. However, that never came when I later discovered that his brother Cain killed him in cold blood, she said as tears fell from her eyes recalling the death of her beloved Abel. I wanted to kill Cain, to avenge the man I loved. But God decided to brand him to be unable to be killed by anyone. So I decided to head east away from that man and the pompous deity who ruled heaven. There I gave birth to Hagoromo and Hamura, the 2 sons of Abel. I raised the 2 to be good men like their father, and trained them in their own abilities which they inherited from me. However, I soon had to leave due to ancient law preventing me from staying, she said, pouting while releasing a massive wave of killing intent. The saying hell has no fury as a woman's scorn must have been meaning about her. While I was in the celestial plains, my sons were facing a powerful beast that was roamed the land they were born in. The name of this beast was of unknown origin, but it was powerful enough to match them as they worked together. Hamura sadly died by sacrificing himself to save Hagoromo from death, and gave him enough time to kill the beast. My eldest son later got married and gave birth to Indra and Azura. The rest you already know. What you don't know is that years later the flood came, wiping all those of my son's bloodline. But it turns out that my eldest grandson was reincarnated into you, she said, dropping the bomb on him. What? Shouted the blonde as he stared at the woman before him. Yes, you are the reincarnation of my eldest and strongest grandchild, Indra Otsutsuki. And in a sense the last of my human bloodline, said Kaguya. The blonde was in complete shock to find out that he is the reincarnation of the man he saw in his dreams. But all made sense. The dreams weren't dreams at all but memories. Memories of the life he had before. He was in a sense special. How long will it take to regain Indra's power? The goddess before him took a thinking pose. Well, to regain it would be maybe a few hours. But to master it to the level of Indra, I would say, oh, I don't know, 2 to 3 years. 2 to 3 years, shouted the boy. I don't have such time to use. Calm down, Naruquin. I will ask Kali-chan to bless a training room to make it so that a day here equal 1 year in there, said Kaguya. You may need to go down to earth and ask for 3 days off. Naruto stayed silent but mentally agreed. He can't waste time to train in the power he will gain. I will go and tell Sauna of my leave of absence. But first let's get my powers back, so I can protect those precious to me. His voice full of determination. Kaguya smiled and saw a bit of Asura's personality on the reincarnation of Indra. A nice way to counterbalance their personality, and prevent him from following the path Indra once walked. Very well, let's begin. We will begin once we reach your bedroom. The strain from getting chakra will leave you a bit sore, Kaguya said, taking Naruto to his bedroom. He laid on the bed and relaxed his body. You will accomplish many great things, my sweet Naruquin. Many great things, was her last thought as she began the chakra convergence and activating Indra's powers. The blonde groaned in pain as he felt something in his body burning all over. A shout of pain came out of his mouth as his eyes shot open to reveal a red iris with a 2 Magatama spinning lazy around the pupil. -2 hours later in Ko Academy, we find the perverted trio in the stairway between the top and mid floors. Issei was being frustrated about the lost memory of his girlfriend. Stop screwing with me, guys. You seriously don't remember meeting Yuma? Asked Issei to his 2 friends. Nah, dude, the name is not ringing any bells, said Matsuda. I'll say it again. You never introduced us to a chick. And it's impossible that you have a girlfriend, responded Motohama. But that doesn't make any sense. Her email address is right here. He pulled out his cell phone only to see that it's not there. No way, Yuna's contact information is not on my phone. What in the hell? As if sensing something, he looked up to see Rias Gremory looking down upon him and his friends. Big boobies, 12 o'clock. Rias, said 2 of the perverted trio, as she walked down to the mid-floor. She gave them a seductive look. When she reached the mid-floor, filing that image for later, said the bald one of the group. There is just something about her. She's like non-recognized princess, said the one wearing glasses. Issei looked at Rias, and then recalled what happened at the park. How he wasn't alone and was given a chance to escape. Hey guys, have you seen Naruto anywhere? Hopping the guy remembered Yuma. Who's Naruto? Asked Motohama. Sounds like a guy's name. Well, yeah, he is the school's black prince, said Issei. Dude, what are you talking about? There is no guys here named Naruto. And the school only has one prince, that pretty boy Kiba, said Matsuda as his rage towards the pretty boy blonde came to the surface. Okay, now you guys are freaking me out, said Issei to his friends. Dude, it's us who are freaking us out. Listen, why don't you come by my place to watch my treasured collection of DVD porn? Matsuda said with pride. Those guys are a huge jerk-off. So gross, said Murayama and Keitase as they walked down towards the mid-floor. Matsuda cleared his throat as he whispered to his fellow perverts. Anyways, I just got a new disc. He continued talking to Motohama, while Issei looked at the corner where he last saw Rias. However, unknown to the boys, Rias looked shocked at what she heard. Feeling a sense of dread, she walked towards the staff room. Excuse me, senseis. Yes, Gremory-san, what can I help you with? Asked one of the many teachers in the room. Has Naruto Uzumaki been marked absent? He is a second-year student from Class 2A. She asked, hoping he was just late or feeling ill. Many of the second-year teachers and the homeroom teacher of Class 2A looked at her confused. Rias, we don't have any boy registered under Naruto Uzumaki. Prologue and regret. That was the feeling Rias felt when the teacher told her of Naruto not being in their student roster. She stumbled a little in shock before running to her clubroom, leaving behind a confused group of teachers wondering about the girl's behavior. Tears formed around her eyes as she ran to the ORC room. There are a few ways for someone's name and existence to be forgotten. But mostly it's either due to that person being supernatural, wanting all memory of their existence to be forgotten. But since Naruto is normal human, it could only mean, no, I will not accept it. I will not accept that he is gone. When she reached the clubroom, she shot open the door, making the two who are inside the room jump from the sudden action. Kaneko and Akino saw how broken Rias looked. It was worrisome since they had never seen her in such a state before. What's wrong, Bachu? Asked Kaneko. And Naruto. No one remembers Naruto-kun, she said as she panted. Kaneko and Akino's eyes widened at the matter at hand. All three of the girls had a strong feeling towards the blonde. He treated them as any normal girl, with no lust or ulterior motives. It crushed them from the inside to ignore him since they heard the horrible news from the queen of Rias's older sibling. The ruler of hell, Siren Lucifer. Flashback. What do you mean that he is trying to shorten the date? It was agreed by our families that the marriage will be done after college. Even then I will fight tooth and nails to get my freedom, Rias yelled in annoyance. Standing before her was the strongest queen and best friend of her sister, Graphia Lucifuge. Yes, that was how the contract was implied. However, Riser is slowly convincing the elder to make it be sooner, said head maid of the Gremory household. Siren tried to make it so that it would stick to the original marriage agreement. But the elders counter her rules since she is one of the four Maos, and she can't play favorites. Due to her connections with you. They don't even know I am here telling you this since it was meant to be kept secret. For they are still in debate. Ria slumped on her chair as tears began to form around her eyes. She didn't want to marry that bastard who only sees her as a trophy wife. The red-haired heiress wanted someone who loved her for her. Wiping the tears away, she looked at her, the silver-haired maid. So that gives me who knows how long. Thank you for informing me, Grafiane. Can you tell Wanisama I said hi? The silver-haired maid nodded before she vanished back to the Lucifer's castle. The Gremory heiress looked at the member of her peerage with determination in her eyes. We are going to double our training. We will do it after school and weekend. We have to defeat Riser when he comes, Rias said with everyone nodding. Then you all have the rest of the day off. We will start tomorrow. As Kiba was about to leave, he turned to Rias. Rias-sama, what about Naruto-san? The three girls looked at Kiba for a moment. Maybe he could join us and help you defeat Riser. He is good with a sword. Maybe H out of the question, interrupted Rias to her knight. Naruto is good to have for his skills and would be a great asset. But I can't, she said, looking down at a picture of her, Akino, Kaneko, and Naruto. From a photo booth that they did together after going to watch a movie she wanted to see so badly. I would have to tell Naruto about what I am. What we all are, along with how the supernatural is real and not some myth. Because of that, I'm afraid, Ria said as she began to tremble. I'm afraid that once he knows we are devils, he will start ignoring me and see me differently. The mere thought of him seeing me like I am some kind monster, or that he will die for my sake during the raiding game against Riser, scares me more than my possible horrible loveless future, she said as tears began to fall. Kaneko and Akino were on the same boat. For the one boy who truly befriended them, and who stole their hearts without knowing, looking at them in such a way, it would hurt a lot. Kiba seeing that pushing Rias to have Naruto join would never occur. Her fear of him seeing her in such a way would make her be unfocused on the oncoming days. And he doesn't want to imagine how she would be if he died. Sigh, very well, I will follow your wish, Taicho. However, he said as he opened the door, if you push him too far, you may come to regret it later, he said as he was closing the door, leaving Rias to her thoughts. That will never happen. Resolve shined in her eyes. When this is over I will make up to him, and then ask him to forgive me and join us. Then we would. Her face turned crimson red as perverted thought came crashing into her head. Steam soon began to escape from her ears at the thought of Naruto dominating her in the bed, and the bathroom, along with the kitchen, and other areas in both the house and away from the eyes of the public. Akino and Kaneko weren't far behind. They both thought of their unique way to ask Naruto for forgiveness, them. Some very sweet. And others, Too XXX rated to be described, but worthy enough to be written in a doujin comic. The three stopped their perverted thought and looked at one another with an innocent smile while their eyes was closed. However, if you closely, each was radiating a wave of powerful possessive emotions. Behind Rias appeared a dragon ready to destroy any who stood before it. Akino had a giant bird glaring down at its opponents. And Kaneko had a large tiger with its claws retracted and ready to pounce. Let it be known that women, especially those who have a strong possessive feeling towards someone, can be scary. Flashback end. We need to find some leads of what happened to him. Kaneko used to track where Naruto was last seen. So in the same area where I found Issei. While me and Akino go to Sona. Maybe she knows what happened, said the redhead. The petite girl soon teleported away while Rias and Akino headed to the student council room. Do you think it was the fallen angels? Asked Akino. Her inner hate towards the black-winged angels growing to a whole new level. First was her mother's death cause of her connection to her father. And now with the young man who she was falling in love with. I don't know. The possibility is there. But they had no reasons to kill him, said Rias as she walked towards the student council room. Once they reached their destination, they opened the door to see that the room was occupied. Sitting on the chair in front of a desk was Sauna Shirtorai or Sona Citri, the student council president. A young bespectacled woman with a slim figure, black hair styled in a short bob cut, and violet eyes. Beside her was Tsubaki Shinra, Sona's queen and the student council vice president. A young bespectacled woman with long straight black hair that extends all the way down to her knees, with split bangs with light brown eyes. But standing before them was the boy they were looking worried about. Naruto Uzumaki. He has a white shirt with orange sweatpants with black lining on the side and black sneakers. Naruto-kun! Shouted Rias as she went towards him to give him a hug. But Naruto moved to the side to avoid her hug. The Gremry heiress looked puzzled as she turned to look at the blonde. However, she came to regret it as his eyes were emotionless and cold, unlike how he always looks at her with warmth and admiration. Naruto soon spoke in a cold tone. A tone she had never heard him use before. What do you want, Gremry? One sentence. His single sentence was enough to make her feel like she was stabbed by multiple light-based weapons. Putting herself together, she spoke. Naruto, you are my friend. I was worried about you when I couldn't find you today. Rias said with worry in her tone. Friends, huh? Were we ever truly friends, Rias? He said, making the Gremry heiress feel a stab in her heart. 'Cause a true friend wouldn't ignore a friend for weeks without giving them a reason. But guess that's what I get. He walked up to her and whispered into her ear. For being a stress reliever for you, Akino and possibly Kaneko, he said as he walked past Rias. Her blue-green eyes widened at the word he used. Could it be that he heard that? Does it also mean, oh no, she thought the regret she had growing even more. Meanwhile Akino's eyes was full of quilt. Thanks to being a devil, she heard his whisper to Rias. Those words weren't supposed to mean anything. Akino thought to herself, recalling the conversation of that day. Flashback. Era, and here I made it hard for you. And you are right, he not as special as Issei. Sighed better to have him as a stress reliever, said Akino as she turned to look at Rias. The red-haired girl glared at her queen with no amusement in her eyes. Never make such a horrible joke like that again, Akino, she said as she removed her vest. Naruto is not some kind of toy that can be thrown away. He is our friend, Rias said in a stern voice. And also the one guy I want to be with, she said to herself. Sorry, guess I got a bit carried away. Let me say this side loose a bit, said the black-haired beauty. But I do miss his company, Akino said with a sad smile. Same here, said Rias as she was now fully naked. I miss hanging out with him during the weekends. Hopefully when this all over things can be back to the way it was, the red-haired beauty said as she soon went into the shower. Yes, how it was the four of us, she said with a smile, thinking of what they will all do together once this was all over. Flashback end. Rias and Akino soon snapped from her haze when he spoke. Till then, Sauna. Naruto soon left the room. Rias rushed to the door to say something to him. But once she opened it he was gone, and the hallway was full of students preventing her from finding him. Even when he was the only one with a hair the shade of the sun. Naruto. Pushing her regret away, she turned to her childhood friend for answers. Sona, what happened to him? He was never this cold before. The Citri heiress sighed and looked at Rias. I don't know what happened to him. All I know is that someone erased all memories and records of him. It will take 2 days with the help of my entire peerage to get them back. And he won't be here for 3 days. This confused Rias and Akino. Why did he ask to be excused for 3 days? Asked the black-haired queen. We don't know, responded Tsubaki. All he asked was to have 3 days off from school. And when we asked for what reason he would want that, all we got was a simple "it's something personal." We even used charm on him to find out more. But it proved pointless, said the student vice president. The 2 girls from the ORC decided to ask no more and walked towards their clubroom. We messed up, was all that was said. 3 words that could describe how they destroyed a wonderful friendship and turned a sweet guy into a cold-hearted man. When they got to the clubroom, Rias soon told Kaneko of what happened in the student council room. The young girl was broken to hear how her senpai changed, all because of what Rias and Akino said, and how he believed that she thought of him in the same way. The 3 stayed silent in their respected spots in the room, making them all wondered how the blonde is doing, and wondering how they could make him forgive them. Naruto's location. Once Naruto returned to Kagaya's home, he noticed how there is a new door on the family room. It was a marble white door with gold engravings. On top of it was a clock. His blue eyes focused on Kagaya, who was drinking some tea. So this is the time chamber? Yes, Kali-chan was able to make it while you were away. Thank those things called manga to have us something similar to work with, she said as she finished her tea. The white-haired goddess soon walked up towards him. Once we get inside, we can't leave for 3 days. And don't worry about food, the fridge gets automatically stocked once the food is gone. We also can increase the gravity of the room along with changing the scenery to different environments. I see. So what am I going to be trained on? Asked a curious Naruto. Well, we will train you in multiple things, such as physical training, chakra control, elemental manipulation, Sharingan, along with Mangekyo training, sage training, swordsmanship, illusion casting and sensory training, she said with a smile. But Naruto felt a shiver cause that smile was too nice. Why do I feel I sold my soul to the devil himself? Said Naruto as he walked towards the door. I am no devil, I am a goddess, she said with pride in her voice. Her posture soon changed. I can tell something is bothering you. I crossed path with Rias and Akino after I talked with Sauna. He said, his tone wanting to be angry, but she can tell it was a lie. Kagaya can sense deep down his heart he was happy to see them. His pain was only blinding him from the truth. Just like any other man who had his heart broken. Did you tell them anything? Just what I heard on their conversation on that day, he said in a low tone. Kagaya sighed and placed a hand on his shoulder. What you decide with them is your choice. If you wish to hate them forever, go on ahead. If you wish to forgive them, wait till they give you a proper sorry. Till then I need you to have a clear mind. For I want you to focus on your training. Naruto nodded to his godly relative. Alright, I will heed your words, Kagaya-san. The white-haired goddess pouted. Don't call me that. I won't mind if you call me Kagaya-obasan. The blonde reincarnation smiled at that. Sure, Kagaya-obasan. Soon the 2 went inside to the time chamber. Once the door closed, the clock above it began to tick, counting the time till the 2 comes out from the chamber. 3 days/years later. The time chamber doors soon opened to reveal the 2 people who entered them. Kagaya was still in her regal clothing with no alterations to her body. But Naruto was different. His only clothing was his pants with a white sash around his waist. His body became more defined with muscles in all the right places. His hair grew to reach his neck, along with a few strands of hair falling in front of his eyes and with his bangs reaching his chin. And on his left palm was a black crescent moon. That was hell, was the response Naruto said, his voice becoming a bit deeper. It wasn't that bad, responded the goddess as she created a carrot cake. Not that bad? His blue eyes glared at the goddess. I was put through multiple environments, each more dangerous than the last one. Facing opponents that can describe ultimate to God class being. Trained by the Shimizuto Hisa, who nearly killed me by the smallest of errors in my stance or movement. Had seals that multiplied the gravity by 2 each week, combined with some restraining seals that increased to limit my movement each week. Trained in manipulating my 11 elemental affinities. Had been whacked by you when I failed to balance my nature chakra or messing up a few injutsu formula. Having me pushed to the limits to unlock my Mangekyo Sharingan. Along with learning and mastering each ability of my eyes. Mastering the 6th path Yin power seal of my past life father. Plus the sensory training against 50 veteran assassins that are able to suppress their energy to non-existent. And let's not forget the early morning hells of a workout in both physical workout and chakra control. Tell me if it's bad? Said the boy as a blood vessel wanted to pop from his head. Well, true, she said, taking another bite of the cake. You completed a training course that took my grandchildren years to accomplish in 3 years. Even if I awakened your past life power, it would have taken almost the same time as them. And now you are able to match a minor god and in a few more years a primordial. So you actually achieving such a feat in such short time is quite impressive. Naruto blushed at the praise. Even though his body wanted to complain during those 3 years, he took it with no backtalk. He was sore like hell, but Kagaya always healed his muscles before they went to sleep. So he didn't have much room to argue. Thanks. The goddess of chakra giggled at his expression. And for doing such an excellent job, I have 2 gifts for you, she said as she made her plate, holding her plate float with her knife. Soon a black portal appeared and she puts her hands inside them. Drawing from it were 2 swords. The one on her left was a katana with the hilt fabric tearing away, with a gold guard and pommel sheathed in a black scabbard with yellow hanging cord. The one on her right was also a katana with a purple hilt, with a red guard and a gold pommel sheathed in a black scabbard with a white hanging cord. He can sense demonic energy on the left, while wholly demonic on the right. Yet the goddess made him train to differentiate a being's heritage by their energy. So now he can tell if someone is a devil, fallen angel, yokai, god or sacred gear user. He can even tell when someone was reincarnated into a devil. And as a bonus, he also can sense negative intent. A useful and powerful ability to have. What are these? He asked out of curiosity. These swords belong to an old friend of mine, Toga the Inu no Teisho. They are powerful weapons created by the legendary demon blacksmith, Todosai. The one on the left is Tesega, the iron-crushing Fang. The sword is forged using his Toga-own Fang. It's able to kill 100 enemies in a single strike. While its counterpart Tensiga, the heavenly rebirth Fang, can bring back 100 lives with one strike. However, it also has the power to slice through dimensions and let you enter the underworld, said the goddess while her reborn grandson looked at the swords with wonder. And knowing how you are, you won't abuse them, so I give them to you, she said, moving the swords in front of him. Naruto looked at the 2 swords, hesitant to take the memento of a dear friend of his grandmother. But she trusted him with them, so he decided to wield them with pride. Naruto took the 2 swords. He felt them vibrate as if they accepted to be wielded by him. He strapped Tesega on his left side while Tenseiga on his right. The 2 swords soon vanished, leaving behind 2 wolf-tail keychains. The one on the left was black while the right was gray. Naruto looked at his divine relative. We aren't in the era where someone can walk with a sword in public. I made a modification for them to change form to something that is easy to carry. When you wish to wield them, you can just think it, and it will change to their weapon form, said the goddess. Now change your clothes since you are going back to school. Naruto nodded as he teleported to his apartment. He looked at his apartment, and noticed how dust was starting to build up. I will have to clean all this later. As the blonde entered his room, he saw the 3 gifts that were for them gone. Maybe Kagaya got rid of them, he said with a sigh. Even though he wanted to keep them as a memory of the past. He went to the bathroom and manipulated the wind to make him have his usual hairstyle. Once he finished, he puts on his school uniform and put his school bag over his shoulder. He also strapped both of his keychains to the left side of his pants. Time to see the world through a different point of view. Ko Academy. As Naruto walked down the schoolyard, all eyes were on him. He can feel the emotions busting from everyone. Most specifically envy and rage from the male student body, while a whole lot of lust from the female student body. It's Naruto-sama. Is it me, or did he get even more handsome than before? Yeah, we should call him the King of Kuo. 'Cause he is way beyond that of Prince. A girl said with many nodding in agreement. Damn him. Pretty boy got an upgrade. We will never get a chick with him around. Sae day back and already my popularity increased tenfold. He said in a low voice as he walked to his classroom. As he walked, he sensed several devil energy in the school, one having a hint of fallen angel energy, and finally yokai. The blonde reincarnation also sensed that 4 of those devils had a sacred gear. As Naruto walked up the main stairs, his eyes focused to the devil's signature in front of him. He looked up to see the devil that resided in the school, but never expected for her to be one. Rias. He thought, not showing any emotions to the girl before him. But he never thought to cross path with her so soon. And he was still in debate with how he felt towards her. Rias P.O.V. It has been 3 days since Naruto has disappeared from the world. Neither mine or my peerage's familiars were able to find him. This worried me, since there is no way for him to vanish in such a way. Anywho, in the day he was vanished, Issei, the newest member of my peerage, was attacked once again by a fallen angel. We weren't surprised of him crossing path with another one so soon. After we took him home, I healed him and had Akino take me back to my room, but not without leaving a letter for him that someone will pick him up tomorrow to explain everything. Even do I would have stayed in his house to rest and gotten a little laugh from my pawn's reaction upon seeing me naked. My mind and body decided not to, since the only one who would be sleeping naked beside me would be Naruto. The next day I sent Kiba to pick him up. I decided to not to take a shower to use it against his lustful nature. After bringing him to the ORC clubroom, I explained that this was a fake front, along with how fallen angels existed and that Yuma was real, but she whipped all memory and record of her existence. He also asked is what happened to Naruto, but I told him that he was fine, and that it was complicated. I also told him that he has a sacred gear. However, he wasn't able to manifest it, so that will be something to do in due time. But when I mentioned on how he could have his own servants if he becomes a high-class devil, that fact alone fueled his determination to climb the ranks. The following night he has crossed path with another fallen angel, proving that a small group of fallen angels has decided to make a base here in mine and Sona's territory. But he was able to summon his sacred gear in the process. The following day Issei has crossed path with the ex-nun that he helped take to the abandoned church. Later that day we eliminated a stray devil by order of an archduke, and teaching the special ability of each piece. After that it was a normal day with no forms of trouble, or crossing paths with fallen angels. However, I was worried about Naruto the whole time. Akino, Kaneko and I continued our search for our missing blonde. Even went as far as the old house he used to live in when he was a child. And even went to his apartment, found some gift that were for us. With it were letter written for each of them. The contents in them made us feel worse for doing our decision. Unable to find anything else, we had to call it quits. Now it was the day that Naruto was supposed to return back to school. I am a nerve wreck, and I can see that Akino and Kaneko were on the same boat. Walking down the main stairs, I soon see the source of all my attention. Naruto. My voice was as low as whisper, while my heart raced as if it was in a marathon. Back to third person P.O.V. The blonde and redhead looked at each other eyes. His cerulean blue eyes looking deep into her blue-green ones. The two stayed quiet for a while, not exchanging a single word. Not wanting to confront her, he walked to the side and continued walking. That is until he felt his shirt being tugged, and he wasn't surprised on who it was. Naruto, can we talk, please? The blonde looked at her eyes, pleading to talk with him. That would make any man cave in. But he held his ground. There is nothing to talk about. Please, I don't want to lose you. I want to have things to the way it was. Lose me? He raised one of his brows. The very moment you chose him over me. You have completely lost me, Naruto said as he continued to walk up the stairs. And we can't go back to how things were. Leaving behind Rias in tears. While the whole student body looked at the entire thing in shock. Soon the gossip mill of the school was in full swing. With many guys being heartbroken at the rumor of Rias being with someone. After school, as he left the school grounds, he thought of his day. To say the least, it was chaotic for our resident blonde. Ever since the incident on the main staircase. Everyone was talking about the small talk between him and Rias. He has then went to avoid Rias along with Akino and Kaneko. Naruto felt he wasn't ready yet to confront them for what they did. G's already back and I regret coming. The blonde said, cracking his neck. Wonder if Kagaya Obasan will let me skip a few more days to train. He said with a sigh. As he was distracted, he didn't notice a girl bumping into him. His blue eyes looked down at who bumped into him. A pretty young girl with long golden hair like himself. Her attire consisted of a dark teal nun outfit with light blue accents, a white veil over her head with light blue accents, a brown satchel slung on her right hip, and brown boots with black straps in an X-shaped pattern. She also has a silver cross necklace around her neck. Oi, are you okay? He asked, extending his hand. Yes, I am all right. I should have paid attention to where I was going, she said as she grabbed his hand and showed him her green eyes. In a brief moment he felt a connection with the girl. A familiar sensation that he hasn't felt in years. But he couldn't put his finger on it. And it wasn't her sacred gear or the trace of fallen angel energy that was rolling off of her body. It's alright, no harm done. I am Naruto Uzumaki. The reincarnation of Indra said as he helped her back on her feet. Nice to meet you, Naruto. My name is Asia Argento, she said with a bow. Sound foreign? He asked in curiosity. Well, I used to be from Italy until I moved here, she said. In a moment of randomness, her stomach growled in hunger, causing the girl to blush. Naruto chuckled and mentally noted how cute she is. You hungry? How about I bring you to a nice place to eat? He asked her nicely. And no, I am alright, she said with her hands waving. But her stomach apparently was not agreeing with her. I insist, beside I am also hungry, he said with a smile. Then I would be happy to accompany you, she said with a smile. Commercial District. Naruto led Asia to his favorite restaurant, Ichiraku Ramen. It wasn't big or well known, but they sold quality ramen that was better than in the other ramen shops. Hey old man, I'm back and I have a new customer. Welcome back, Naruto. And hello to you too, said the waitress with a smile. This girl is Ichiraku, a slender girl with long, dark brown hair and large black eyes, plus fair skin. She wears a white robe with the sleeves folded, a sort of dark blue apron with ribbon ties at the top and a bright white bandana. Hey Naruto, haven't seen you in like forever, responded a man in the kitchen as he moves the drapes to show himself. This man was Tuchi Ichiraku, the one who made Ichiraku Ramen. He has tan skin, gray-brown hair, and his eyes are always closed. He wore a white kimono robe and pants, with a dark blue apron that covered the lower half of his body and a white hat. I was busy, but I am back to have a taste of heaven, Naruto said with a cheesy grin. Oh, and this here is Asia. We bumped into each other, and she was hungry, so I brought her here to have a taste of a good meal. The ramen chef nodded in approval. Well, Asia, since you are a new customer, your first ramen will be half off. Why, you don't have to, she said nervously. Nonsense, I do that all the time for first-time eater at my shop, said the man. I will let my daughter take your order. And it was nice meeting you, Asia. As Tucci headed back into the kitchen, his daughter pulled out a notebook and pen. So what will it be? I will have the Wakayama ramen with pork ribs. And a sweet tea for a drink, said Naruto with a smile. I will have the miso ramen with shrimp, please. And orange juice, said the young nun. All right, coming right up, said Im as she headed back to help her father with the orders. So Asia, why is it that I sense the energy of fallen angels all over you? The young nun turned to look at Naruto in shock. How? Asia was nervous. The people who were taking care of her told her about devils being in the town. But she wasn't a fighter, She hated violence and causing pain to others. And if it turns out he was a devil, then she would be at his mercy. Calm down, Asia-chan. I am human like you. Naruto smiled, watching the girl calm down. And like you, I am someone who was sucked into the supernatural world. But can you tell me the reason you are with a flock of fallen angels? You are such a nice girl to be with a group like them. Asia held her cross in her hands. She didn't know why, but something told her that she can trust him. So she began her tale on how she was left in front of a church when she was a baby, discovering her sacred gear that can heal wounds, and was loved by everyone in the small town. Soon going to a larger church to heal others, which made her happy. That is, until she healed the devil who was harmed. And everyone turned their backs on her, accusing her of being a witch. Naruto was pissed on how they treated her, and also wanted to find the devil responsible. He had a weird feeling that it was set up. But he won't jump to conclusion. They had no right, he said with a growl. Huh, those people didn't have the right to kick out like that. All you did was do an act of kindness, he said, feeling like finding the people of the church and knock some teeth into their mouths. Asia looked at the boy as tears formed in her eyes. From the way he said it, she did no wrong for doing a good deed. But it was those who made her a rogue nun who are in the wrong. It made her feel happy. Thank you, don't sweat it, he said with a reassuring smile. This made Asia feel better, as if a heavy burden was lifted from her. All right, here's your orders. Enjoy, said I am, bringing their respected ramen. Thanks for the meal, both Naruto and Asia said in unison. The blonde got his chopsticks ready to eat the divine food he was neglected for 3 years. Before he began to chow down, he saw the blonde nun struggling to get a noodle with her chopsticks. Need help? Why, yes, please. I never used these before, she said with a blush. It's okay, not everyone is used to eating with them, here, he said, helping her how to hold them. He didn't see how Ase was blushing at how his hand touched hers. Every time his fingers touched her hand, she felt warmth and protected. After adjusting them, he showed her how to use it. Now you try. Asia soon imitated his movement and took a bite of the noodle. Her eyes closed as she savored the delicious noodle before her. It's amazing, she said with a smile, and began to eat more of the delicious noodle before her. The young girl has never ate something with such flavor. It was so different from broth and soup. Naruto smirked before looking at Tucci. We have another one converted to the way of the holy ramen, was all the blonde boy said before he began to eat as well. Mall fountain. Asia and Naruto soon sat beside one another in the bench near the water fountain within the mall. Naruto has taken her to various places in the mall. Asia, never having went to a mall before, saw everything with wonder that can be seen in a pure soul. In her hand was a prize he won for her, a yellow and black mouse with a curled tail. I had a lovely time, Naruto-san, she said happily with the plushie in her hand. Glad to hear it. And please call me Naruto or Naruto-kun. We are friends, he said with a smile. Hi and Naruto-kun, she said with a deep blush on her cheeks. Naruto gave a low chuckle at how cute Asia was blushing. He then grew sad, recalling the last time he had a moment like this. The images of 3 girls popped into his mind. Rias, Akino, Kaneko. His thoughts soon was diverted when he felt a familiar energy. Asia, stay close to me. Huh, my, and here I thought you were dead, said a sultry voice. The 2 blondes looked towards the source of the voice. You should have checked if I actually died, Rainer. But don't believe I am the same guy as back then, Naruto said, getting ready to call out Tessega. So what's the reason you are here? I am here to get our little runaway over there. But since you are here, I will also kill you again, she said, creating a spear of light. Say goodbye to your friend Asia. Rainer the spear towards his heart. Naruto, however, to the 2 girls' surprise, as a barrier appeared before him, destroying the spear. What? The fallen angel looked at the katana that was on his left side that wasn't there before. It was also radiating demonic power that could match, if not surpass, Graham. How did you gain a demonic sword? Now that would be telling, he said as he walked forward. And instead of shoes going into the water, he was standing on it, shocking the girls at this feat. And why should I answer the woman who killed me before? the blonde said with a cold tone as he drew his sword. The blade was covered in a shroud of light. When the light died out, it revealed an oversized blade that looks like a fawn, with the scabbard being made of white fur. Rainier backed away a little, feeling the power coming from the sword, but soon stood her ground. Can you even use that oversized blade? Naruto smirked as he disappeared in a burst of speed that shouldn't be capable for a human. The fallen angel was able to jump back to avoid being sliced half. A light vertical wound appeared on her stomach. Rainier glared at the man as his sword was now resting on his shoulder. Does that answer your question? He said with a mocking grin. You bastard! She created a light spear and charged at the one she killed before. Naruto blocked her attack with his sword and pushed her back with little effort. The blonde began to fight back against the fallen angel. The woman was getting annoyed on how this human is able to push her back and make her be on the defensive. The skill he was showing was something no one should attain in 3 days. Wanting to gain some territorial advantage, she flew into the air while dodging a sword slice to her throat. Can't do anything now since I have tea, was all she could say before the one she was taunting disappeared again. Where did he? Once more she was interrupted when a kick landed on her head, making her crash into the water. Rainier got up and looked at the boy who landed on the water without making a splash. How can a human like you become this powerful in just 3 days? Please, as if I am stupid enough to tell people of what I can do, Naruto said as he pointed the sword at the fallen angel. But I will tell you this. Leave Asia alone or else you will come to regret it. The blonde focused his chakra so only she can feel it, showing how outclassed she was. The fallen angel trembled at the pressure that was crashing into her. Now get out of my sight. The fallen angel gave him one last glare before she reluctantly vanished. Naruto waited a few seconds to see if she truly left. Once he sensed her in the church, he sheathed his sword back to the scabbard before it vanished, leaving behind the keychain. Things are going to be more complicated from here on out, he said in a low tone. Naruto-san. The blonde male turned to look at Asia, who is staring at him with wonder. He smiled at how cute she looked. But I don't mind. As long as I protect those precious to me, Naruto told to himself as he walked towards the ex-nun. Do you have any place to go? Asia responded with a shake of her head. Well, since you need a place to stay, you can stay with me. I don't want to be a burden. She stuttering while a small blush appeared on her face. I don't mind. After all, it get lonely living by yourself. He pulled out his hand, offering it to her. For a few minutes Asia looked at his hand with surprise in her eyes. Tears began to form as she felt so much joy on crossing path with Naruto. With a trembling hand she accepted his offer. And soon the two headed to his apartment. Not knowing what the future may hold for them. The end.